turnover are you going to invest in advertising? You saw what I did when I did the budgets, how sensitive this percentage of my turnover is to that I'm going to reinvest. It's very sensitive. Any other pressures. That is what you're going to do, and that is the way the financial guys will talk. This is available on the website Budget for Advertising. If you guys want to go to it, the mathematics and the details are there. It's just a separate thing that I'm keeping. Look at what happens to your income at each level of market share. If you have a market share of 10 and it moves to 20, your income doubles. It's a linear thing. It moves from 20 to 40, it doubles. So your income to market share relationship is linear. If you need to buy advertising share, then the cost of increasing your advertising share, unfortunately, is not linear. Okay? So if, and that says, all else being equal, the competitors are spending at $10 million. To get an advertising share, let's say 1 million gets you an advertising share of about 10. If you want to go to an advertising share of 30, you are going to spend 4 million. Okay? Because you can never get to 100. That's the issue. Because if they're spending a bit of money, you cannot get to 100%. So every incremental increase in required advertising share costs more. If you now take those two lines, the one that says your income goes straight, the other one says the cost does that. You now say, I want to, for my brand, increase the market share by 1 percentage point. Having done the dynamic difference, you have a line that says, to increase it by 1%, I know what advertising share I need. You can now guess what your competitors are going to spend because you know what they spent last year. You take that as a fixed cost, and you can now calculate how much it will cost you to buy that advertising share. You now know what your income from the resultant market share is going to be, and you look at what is as a percentage of your income. So this line says, what percentage of your income should you invest in advertising if you want to increase your market share by 1 point? And this curve comes down at low levels of market share, and then at some stage it turns and starts to increase. It means that for a very low market share, if you want to gain another point market share, you're going to spend a high percentage because your income is very low. As you go, it becomes less expensive to buy the extra market share point, but at some stage it turns, and you're going to have to pay more and more because the advertising share is expensive. And what I'm telling you, okay, it's not quite around. What I want to show you here is depending on your advertising leverage. Sorry, the shape depends on the advertising leverage. So if you have an advertising leverage of 0.5, it'll cost you a higher percentage. If you have an advertising leverage of 0.1, costs you slightly lesser. And if you have an advertising leverage of 1.5, it's down there. So when you are talking about what is the ROI, or the contribution that I get from my advertising, well, it depends on your advertising leverage. And once you know your advertising leverage, you can work out what percentage you should be investing to grow another market share point. And the nice thing about what I've told you here is it's just mathematics. It's just mathematics. There is no debate about what I'm telling you here. It is mathematics, like 1 plus 1. It is what I've done here is mathematics. There's a little bit of statistics saying, let's estimate that line. And if that line estimate comes out, I believe the line. The rest is simple mathematics that every financial director has to accept and every managing director has to accept. Now, we want to go through the empirical evidence. Go to August 2008. Actually, it's not. I took this out of AdMap. In August 2008, AC Nielsen presented an analysis. It was done for 123 brands in 30 FMCG categories in the UK. And the most important result, between share of voice and share of market is confirmed and is still strong. So if you want to ask me, okay, does that Peckham result of 1960 hold? Media changes and all that. Well, I can tell you in 2008, it still holds in the UK. This comes out of the Millard-Brown database. And what is interesting about this one is here we're looking at the share of ad awareness. Not the advertising share, the share of ad awareness. Jones and his analysis, which he would have presented when he was here, he comes out with exactly the same relationship between advertising share and market share holds. So in the States, he's come up with that. But he's done some other things that are even more interesting. He said profit-taking brands are brands where the advertising share is lower than the market share. And he said the investment brands where the advertising share is higher than. And what he saw was that if you look at the profit-taking brands, about 40% of them have rising market share, but a third are losing market share because the advertising share is below the market share. Whereas if you look at the brands that are investing, 50% of them are growing. So that is the relationship I'm talking about between advertising share and market share. He also looked at, does small brands, as the brand grow in market share, are they profit-taking brands or are they investment brands? And what you'll see is, at a low level, high investing brands, which is, remember what I showed you before, for this percentage, they're investing their percentage to get their growth. And then as they grow, they become more profit-taking, which means that their advertising share is lower than their market share. Now, John Philip Jones concludes from that there is an economy of scale. Big brands can get away with slightly less advertising share. And then he makes the comment that says, you can't have a free ride forever. Just watch out, because you might start the brand life cycle hypothesis. The brand life cycle hypothesis could be a self-fulfilling prediction. Because you believe the brand life cycle is gone, you are taking money away from the brand at a stage when you should be putting money in. Now the problem that I've just shown you is you should be increasing the percentage of money that you are putting into the advertising, the buy advertising share, as a percentage. Companies do not do that. Companies do not do that. And how do I know that? I look at John Philip Jones's data, because as the advertising shares grow, the companies become takers of their, what is called, profit-taking brands. And the reason for that is they are keeping their investment static, that percentage. They're saying, well, we got away with 12% last year, so we'll have 12% this year, and we'll have 12% the year thereafter. And that is what Jones says. The all too common strategy of milking older and often quite large brands is based on the belief of the life cycle strategy, which then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And there's a big problem that people actually talk to. Here's what happened in practice. And this is what I did at Farmers Winery when I told you I did the analysis. The unfortunate thing is I did it too late. So I couldn't avoid this disaster. I did it after the fact. That is the Bowles Brandy percentage of income